Okay, here we go. Carla, if you would please call roll.
Mark Arnold,
Here.
Whitney Hall, Marvin Kusick,
Here.
Eddie Mack,
Here.
David Mason,
Here.
Cole Rain,
Here.
Don Roberts,
Here.
James Simonak, Mike Stuber, David Trojan.
Here.
That is quorum.
Thank you, Carla. So having a quorum, I hereby call the meeting to order. And as you are well aware, this is our first meeting since February the 24th. So with that being said, have all of you taken a look at the minutes from February the 24th? So I'll
Motion to approve.
Thank you.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the minutes. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? That motion carries. Okay, item number 2 is to hold a public hearing on an ordinance amending the Enid Municipal Code 2014, Title 11, entitled Zoning, Chapter 1, entitled Purpose, Interpretation, Definitions, to amend Section 11-1-7, Definitions, to add commercial medical marijuana grow facility, and clarify definition of plant nursery, Chapter 5, Agriculture, General District, to add commercial medical marijuana grow facility as a permitted use. Chapter 7, Commercial Districts, Article B, C1, Light Commercial District, to add commercial medical marijuana grow facility as a use by review. Article D, C3, General Commercial District, to add commercial medical marijuana grow facility as a permitted use, providing for repealer, savings clause, severability, and codification.
Mr. Chairman, our presenter on this is Ms. Carol Lehman, our city attorney.
Hello. The background in the agenda is fairly clear. Currently, there's no distinction between a commercial medical marijuana grow facility, which didn't exist until a couple years ago, and a plant nursery or greenhouse. And as you all are aware, because you had a review in front of you, currently, plant nurseries or greenhouses are permitted use in agriculture and R1 residential estates and used by review in all the other residential zones except for R6 and R7. This ordinance would create the commercial medical marijuana grow facility. The rationale for that is that these facilities do include security measures that restrict access and provide the security that is probably necessary for the particular crop that they are producing. And if this ordinance passes, it would allow these grow facilities in agriculture, general commercial, central business district, industrial park, light industrial, heavy industrial as a permitted use, and it would allow, as used by review, light commercial and in agriculture. This regulation does not limit in any way the medical marijuana licenses for caregivers or patients that allow them to have a few plants under specific circumstances.
Let me ask a brief question, Carol, and this is more for the public than you and I. I'm assuming you've done all the legwork and you have checked this against the Oklahoma Medical Marijuana Association rules and things, and there's no conflict in that.
No, cities are allowed to make common sense zoning regulations, and because of the additional restrictions, particularly restricting minors, normally minors, that see like a little garden in their neighbor's backyard are not going to think that they're not allowed and stuff. So this, I believe that we'll pass the scrutiny even of the advocates of medical marijuana, that this is common sense regulation and not trying to keep medical marijuana out of the city.
Perfect. Thank you, Carol.
Carol, is this consistent with other communities in Oklahoma, comparable communities to Enid?
Some, yes. Some have done, some have attempted to restrict it completely out of their city. But most are leaning this way.
How does this compare with the Department of Agriculture recommendations for outside the city limits?
I don't know. I hadn't thought about that.
I think this marijuana thing is a tremendous thing, and they discuss this in Colorado and other states intensely. But a lot of this has been led by Department of Agriculture guidelines, just like the FAA does, flight plans and
Sure.
things. And so I think you need to check with the Department of Ag to see if you're doing the regulations in town like they do 3 miles out of town.
Well, we really don't have, we're just doing zoning. We're not doing the regulations involved. I'm just letting you know that when you look at the state regulations, they say that minors, that for a commercial grow facility, you're not to allow minors, and for commercial grow facilities, you don't have walk-in customers, and there are a few security measures that you need to put in. But we're not requiring those. I just mentioned those and put them in the ordinance to show that there is a rational basis for making a distinction between a greenhouse where the person is doing, I don't know, tulips and marijuana, that it is more likely that I just think that it makes sense that you would restrict a marijuana grow house with the requirements, but we are not requiring the requirements. The requirements are by their own association, and I'm sure they've talked with agriculture. So we're not, all this ordinance says is ag, commercial, and industrial are the places you should have a grow facility. That's all we're doing. Then they have to go and get their permit from the state people. We're not permitting.
So if somebody buys 15 houses going downhill and they rezone it agriculture, then they can grow this in town, medical?
Well, if they can convince you that the 15 houses should be ag. I mean, but if you read what ag is supposed to be, ag has to be, for instance, are the 15 houses on 5 acres. You have to have 5 acres to be ag. Ag property is usually not worth as much as residential properties. We would obviously encourage them to bring their 15 houses up. But I guess what I would tell you now is if you don't pass this ordinance, then anybody that has a residential property can put in a plant nursery by use by review. So this restricts
that in the backyard.
That situation. Maybe it doesn't restrict it as much as you would like, but it does restrict it so that the basic person in a subdivision is not going to be able to put a grow house in, but they might be able to have a small greenhouse and put in tomatoes, hothouse tomatoes. Any other questions? Anyone here to talk
Mr. Chairman.
about the ordinance? Okay.
We have one person signed up, Mr. Bob Berry.
Barry?
I'm Bob Berry. We own all of the property on the east side of that zoning. And we're not speaking for or against marijuana, but what we have is we have a golf subdivision. And obviously the housing market has been pretty slow. but it chips along. The problem that we have with it is that the city doesn't have the rules and the regs that they used to. The city doesn't even get site development plans. And we believe that it's necessary to take a look at this because most of the medical, most of the cannabis facilities have a great deal of high lighting at night so that people can't get into their system. Some of them put in an almost prison-like fencing system, which is pretty off-putting to people. And the fact that you don't want kids to be in there, maybe they're going to build a moat or a minefield to keep kids from the subdivision from going in. I don't know. But I think the city needs to come up with maybe taking a prototypical type, hopefully not the one on US 412 behind Jumbo's, because that's another problem. If you go on the cheap and you use fabric huts to grow your marijuana and you get a, 79 mile an hour wind like we've had a couple of times, they start getting pretty ratty. And I've never experienced a subdivision on basically what seems to be viewed as an industry. And maybe it is an industry, but it is going to be, we believe, noxious. And there should be some sort of a buffer. We look at it like, how would you like to be on the same fence as Champlin Refinery back in the day? And in the position of this, also, it's 1 mile due east of Enid's newest grade school. And it's pretty obvious that all of this is going to be into housing. And I don't think it's right to do that without, and I'm saying they shouldn't do it, I'm saying there ought to be a lot of study and surveys as to how to make this work for the regular residential folks in town. And I think that, I'm pretty sure Carol's gone through all of the legal aspects of it, but I believe that this is a big deal and it really ought to be pushed up to the commission in order for this not to be I don't know how to even describe it, an issue that's going to be litigated or driven people crazy and making things be okay. For instance, if you have a subdivision, and we have one, and our partners are the Nicholas Agency, a string of trees or buffer or landscaping or setbacks. This has nothing. There is no setback. And I don't know what they're going to do for water because there is no water there. And in order to get water there, you also have to have a line doubled back into town in order that water does not go stale. Now, true, you're using it for irrigation, but the rule is you have to have a loop in your system.
This is,
Are you,
I'm sorry,
Bob?
this is about the ordinance.
yeah, are you speaking?
Are you on?
I am talking about the ordinance, because the ordinance is to have these marijuana grow facilities. And I've not seen one that has the protection for the surrounding property owners. That was dissolved when the city got rid of site development plans. So I don't know, before you can do anything, you have to have an ordinance. And if you're going to argue against an ordinance, you have to have the reasons why you're arguing against the ordinance. I believe it should go up to the commission and get some studies done and go look at some of these facilities in other parts of Oklahoma We've got a zillion of them, but we have no protection at all.
Bob, I think this is going to go to the commission, doesn't it, Carol? After it leaves here?
Yes, and if we don't pass it, then, I mean, right now, you can have, I mean, I guess what I'm saying is, you can have a nursery in residential, and there's nothing stopping anyone from going to the state of Oklahoma and producing a marijuana crop on agriculture. I mean, or R2 for that matter, if there isn't a house, because our ordinances allow agricultural uses on, so I guess this ordinance does regulate it more than it is now. If we don't pass this, then there is no regulation, and anybody with a nice big yard can.
But when it goes to the council, if we need to amend that and consider buffer zones or something because of lighting, we could do that then?
Yes, but I think agriculture and the other zoning, I mean, one of the things is, everything but ag has site plans, don't they? I mean, we still have.
No,
We still have to submit site plans.
We still have to submit site plans for
But-
everything other than agriculture, and I think, and industrial. But industrial has its equivalent, we just don't call it a site plan. It's just that in Oklahoma, ag is, we grew up farming. But there are setbacks, I think, for agriculture as well, agricultural land. And I'm sure that the state of Oklahoma has restrictions on what kind of fencing you're supposed to have, that sort of thing.
well, I'm just saying, before you actually legitimize this, that you take a look at the weeds in the field, because this could end up being a real problem. And we just, as a community, I don't know when we started proving ugly, but it is a problem. And I don't think our standing in competition for industries, when you have your newest elementary school with a medical marijuana place, and they'll have all of their protections, and I'm aware of they have serious security aspects to these places. And so when moms and dad are going to go to their school and they keep passing by the medical marijuana place, I'm not sure that, that's a good idea.
Bob, I'm pretty ugly, and we can't legislate beauty, and nobody's ran me out of town yet, so, and I would agree, some of them are not very sightly. Chris, is there an action that we need to take on this, or is this just a hearing tonight?
This is for you to review and make a recommendation to the mayor and board of commissioners.
Okay.
So it is an action item.
If we remember last meeting, we had a gentleman with just some lots near his house, and he was able to obtain use by review, or whatever, it's been so many months ago now.
That's correct.
He was able to basically grow marijuana in his backyard if he wants to. If we don't pass this ordinance, then I have an extra lot at my house. I think I'll come in and try to put a little plant nursery on it. So that's what this ordinance, hopefully,
Yeah, this is going to give us a
this is
little.
going to clarify
Yeah.
and specify, and so we're not putting a grow facility in Bob's backyard with dogs and big chain link fence and whatnot.
But
So
you are. That's my point.
you don't know how many grow facilities we already have in Enid. Most of them you don't even see.
I
And
get,
put a
I'm
lot
not
of them in.
arguing most of
So,
Enid. I'm arguing.
The finances and actually dictate, the feasibility dictates where we put a lot of these. And so it's, I think we could sit here and we can't create an ordinance for every single instance. We can't for anything. We would like to be that smart. I'm not. I don't.
Well, I don't even think you have the semblance of an ordinance. You have the text and all of the articles, and you can pass this number 2, but there is nothing, there's no net, there's no catchment of, okay, so what else? Can they put up a 50-foot sign? Probably.
Well, we have other guidelines for those kind of things.
I get it, but
The
what I'm-
Department of Agriculture, the Oklahoma Medical Marijuana Association dictates a lot of the rules that Enid or Edmond or whatever municipality, we can go off them, but they're ultimately the ones addressing the growers. Go ahead, David.
Carol, could this be more restrictive and still fit within the constitutionality of what was passed by our voters?
Well, it would depend on how you want to be more strict. I mean, I don't think that it makes, saying that a crop is not, that somehow we're going to keep people from being able to use a crop that has been determined to be legal in ag, I think that would have a challenge. Now, and all of the people that have studied this have said that industrial, light industrial, heavy industrial would also be a good place for them, and general commercial or the central business district. The central business district, I can't fathom it because there's not that much grass in the central business district, but its zoning is such that it says that it is the most, that you can do pretty much whatever's legal in the central business district because it was designed when all uses were together. So I really think this is, I suppose if you've got something specific, we could put it in, but this makes sense to me. This seems logical and sensible.
Well, I am exactly asking for some specifics. So for instance, in the 1 inch on this side of the fence, you have a backyard, and on the other inch, you have acres of marijuana production, okay? And there are buffers to some of these. We used to have them before we had this goofy new city plan, which is not specific in anything. And we had specific things. There's setbacks. We used to require trees to be planted on the main roads in town. All of that's been erased. It left with Eric. And
Well, I would disagree. I've had site plans presented that still required landscaping buffers. We still have setbacks when we have property.
and I agree with that. And I think this.
None of that's changed. Nope, none of that's been erased, Bob. We still have legal requirements in our site plan
but they're
process that
not-
require.
they're not-
So don't tell us that these have just magically disappeared because your friend
Okay,
Eric
go out on
Benson
412 and just
isn't
take a
here.
look and see if there's any trees. There are none, okay? Now,
On the ODOT-owned property or the City of Enid-owned property? I mean, if you're in the highway easement.
No, I'm talking, Cole, I'm not going to.
Well, you want specificity, so I'm asking you
Yeah,
about
what I'm saying
specificity
is you
here.
need to go back to a tree every 40 feet on center with irrigation. That
In
was
city property, state
No,
property, or
not-
private property?
private property. If you're going to go out and build a giant quick shop and car wash and whatever, and you cut down 50 pecan trees and you put up nothing, I don't think that's a good
So
plan.
we're going to get rid of multi-million dollars worth of business because you want a tree every 50 feet or 40 feet? That has nothing to do with the marijuana ordinance here.
I know, but
And
I'm
you're
trying to
off
tell you,
topic.
okay,
I
I'm
have
going
to
to sit
agree,
down now.
Bob.
I'm
And we
trying
need
to
to
tell
move
you
on.
there needs to be some structure for us.
And I
not
think
to
that's what
be-
we're doing.
I make a motion that we recommend, I make a
First
recommendation.
step with having it defined, because then it could be further regulated.
I get that, and I'm for having it defined. That's the whole point of me coming to the meeting.
I make a
Because I'm afraid we're
recommendation
going to have
that we put
everything
this
be
in front of the city
concrete,
council.
look awful, and we're going to have
Thank you.
children and crime, and a subdivision
Bob,
that is not workable.
I appreciate your opinion on this. Let us go forward.
I will.
Thank you. I don't think we have anybody else to speak on this, do we?
No, no one else signed up, no.
One more question, Kurt.
Yes.
The point you were trying to make here is today is we need to pass this resolution or this ordinance so you can begin more process of stricter rules. You can,
Yes, so that if Mr. Ream is in a subdivision and he has a side yard, that he will not be able, other than if he has a patient medical marijuana license, he will not be able to attempt a
Plant nursery.
medical marijuana grow facility. And to a certain extent, from reading all the rules about them, there is an economy of scale. You know, it isn't, I mean, I understand we have one person who's trying, but it isn't something that can easily be done on a side yard. It just, all the stuff that you have to do, you need to be a going commercial business that makes money, you're going to need to have some acres.
Eddie, I actually have a second lot at my house. I have 2 residential lots. If I wanted to grow marijuana on it, it would probably cost me $60,000 or $70,000 to grow a quarter acre of marijuana. You would never recover it, and that's why the gentleman who came to us a few months ago hasn't proceeded with his plan, because it's not economically viable. Yeah, I got a few lots that I'm not doing anything with. I guess I could grow some marijuana on it until OMMA and the Department of Agriculture comes in and said, here's what you're going to do. And so, once again, I've made a motion to recommend that this go to the city council.
Hey, I want to ask one more question. And Carol, so I completely understand, on agriculture that is currently inside the city limits,
Yes.
like out by the school, right? What is that, Prairie View? Is that the name of the school out there? That, they could grow there now, right? I mean, that's already in place.
No, the Oklahoma Medical Marijuana Association has also stipulations that define that it has to be within so many feet of the
Well, I
school.
understand, whatever that is,
It's
but there's a
1,000
lot of land around that, and once they got past that buffer zone, they could grow now if they wanted to.
Right, and a
Yes.
lot of the thing is,
Okay.
though, there's a big difference between an indoor grow that might use 2 rooms and a big outdoor grow that we're talking about.
I understand.
This is not any.
It's 1,000 feet, David.
I think we should move a
Real
motion
quick, to follow up on David, in that situation that he just brought up that they could now, would there be any requirement of use for review before they could do it at that facility now? Is it blanket carte
On
blanche at this?
agriculture? No, because agriculture allows for plant nursery and
Okay.
for agricultural uses.
They have to be 1,000 feet from a school property. So, for an example, you at Autry Tech, it wouldn't be right up against Autry Tech on the farmland around it. It'd have to be 1,000 feet off of the school's property.
Okay, we have a motion. I want to move on this. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second to take this in front of the city council. All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? That motion carries unanimously. Thank you, everyone, for speaking on that. Okay, item number 3. Chris, were you going to read that? You want me to read it?
I can.
If you would,
I will
please.
do that for you. Consider rezoning for property located as part of the Northwest Quarter, Section 4, Township 22, North, Range 7, West, Indian Meridian, Garfield County, Oklahoma, being more particularly described as follows: beginning at the northwest corner of said Northwest Quarter, Section 4, hence south 0 degrees, 10 minutes, 14 seconds east along the east line of said Northwest Quarter, Section 4, for a distance of 2,630.74 feet, hence north 89 degrees, 25 minutes, 49 seconds west along the south line of said Northwest Quarter, Section 4, for a distance of 1,244.35 feet to a point on the 98th meridian, hence 88 degrees, 48 minutes, 31 seconds west along the south line of said northwest quarter, section 4, for a distance of 81.39 feet, hence north 0 degrees, 16 minutes, 41 seconds west for a distance of 1,319.89 feet, hence south 89 degrees, 11 minutes, 27 seconds, east for a distance of 101.84 feet to a point on the 98th meridian, hence south 89 degrees, 11 minutes, 57 seconds east for a distance of 572.49 feet, hence north 0 degrees, 10 minutes, 14 seconds west, parallel with the east line of said northwest quarter, section 4, for a distance of 1,318.08 feet, hence south 88 feet, 57 minutes, 42 seconds, east along the north line of said northwest quarter, section 4, a distance of 654 feet to the point of beginning. Above described tract contains 59.911 acres, more or less, located at 6401 West Oklahoma, AKA West Willow, AKA 6301 West Willow, from R1 Residential District to A Agricultural District.
You almost had an auctioneer chant
I
going.
almost did it.
It good.
This slide in front of you represents the property that I just read about. It's outlined in yellow, and the applicant is seeking to rezone that from R1 to Ag for the purpose of a nursery and agricultural farm uses. The comprehensive plan has this identified as agricultural and open space, and are largely not served by existing public facilities, which would be water and sewer, and are not anticipated to be developed within the next 20 years. Instead, these areas should be set aside for future growth and developed. These areas can support agriculture and related uses, as well as low-density residential development, not served by sewer infrastructure. The property owner has told us that they're going to serve this property with private water and sewer. The engineering department reviewed the existing paving on Willow is adequate to support the change. Are there any questions you have of staff? I think I have one more picture. There, that shows you the zoning, and that shows you the Pheasant Run Golf Community that Bob was talking about earlier. Yes, Commissioner.
Zoned R1, how long ago, and the intention, it was intended to be a residential area.
A gentleman came and asked the city to rezone it, and I'm going to say 5, 6 years ago, Carla, somewhere. I can look that up, but it's been fairly recent. And his idea, the gentleman has since passed away, and his idea at the time was to subdivide it into smaller acreages. That never did occur. But prior to that, it was zoned ag.
So is this going to be a grow facility?
That I don't know. The application that we were given, and I have a slide,
Do we have anyone here to speak, provide transparency to this committee as to what?
I believe there is. What we did in my department, the application says nursery and agricultural farm use, and that is exactly what we sent the notice out as. But I believe Jeanette is here. Can you speak to that?
Yes.
Or someone?
I'm Terry. My name's Terry Simmel. I'm Jeanette's neighbor.
I need your address for the record, sir.
1114 Winchester.
Thank you.
Thank you. Just quick background. I was in management for 35 years with United Parcel Service. I just retired last year. My wife was working for Richardson Homes for the last 4 years. She ran this Enid office. Dwayne wanted to build this, put this residential, and he was going to put the front 20 acres into a housing addition, and he was wanting to develop it out. Dwayne passed away. Jeanette's no way going to spend, $1.5 million to make this to develop that and do that. She just wants to go back to agricultural. Now, to be totally transparent with you, I've been working sealing up that barn. What somebody's talking about, which I got a lot of respect for Bob Berry. I've known a lot of things that you've done for years, and I've worked with Bud Nicholas and all that too. But this is inside this barn. It's a 40 by 80, and he added another 15 foot all the way down one side. We've been working for about a year just sealing this barn completely up because we're taking 2 rooms and we're wanting to make 2 rooms of that inside a totally sealed, controlled environment for a grow room for medicinal marijuana. Part of the reason, I've arrested people and been on drug operations that we've arrested people at UPS, and I've worked with Ryan Fuchs and a lot of the police department here and detectives. I'm against the use of drugs as such, and so I understand the concerns of that, because we've arrested a lot of people, and I've been involved in a lot of them. Matter of fact, the last one, they put my home address, and I talked to the DA, I said, guys, you can't put my home address on this, you need to put the UPS address. No big deal, but the reason that this is actually what we're trying to do, there'll never be anybody coming out to the property other than Kathy and myself. It's not open to the public. It's going to be enclosed and sealed in a barn. We've got cameras, we've got motion detectors, everything there to see exactly what is going on. We've even got two-way talk on the intercom system. It would be some grown in 2 rooms, one grown in 1 room and then flowered in another room. And we're learning a lot on this as we're going. There's a lot that we've learned in the last year. But then we will take that and sell directly to a dispensary. Only we can transport it. Nobody would be coming on the property for anything as such. Nobody should even know that there's a grow house there. Nobody should even know anything. But it's just 2 rooms. The rest of the barn is still used for the main agricultural, and we keep the lawnmowers out there, and I keep it mowed and keep it nice and clean, and David Henneke does the hay around it and all that stuff. Real good guy. And David's been out there several times and seen us, just cleaning it up, working it up, sealing it up, because you can't have any kind of outside pollination or it'll cross-pollinate these crops. And if you're trying to do it strictly as a medicinal point, which is what we're trying to do. And the reason I really got into this, my mom was having cancer and her mom had cancer at the same time. And there's a lot of medicinal benefits. There's places called Vero Health that are hiring nothing but doctors and pharmaceuticals working on genetically breeding these strains, and they help with the stress and the anxiety. And there's one called Charlotte's Web in Colorado that's totally eliminated seizures as such. People that were having 200 and 300 seizures a day that were going to die are now having 1 to 2 seizures. There's some medicinal benefits, but they haven't been able to do federal funding because it's been an illegal substance, so they haven't been able to spend the money on federal funding. Well, that's all happening in Canada and working down through the United States now. And this won't be anything to do with an outside grow. We don't want to see a plant outside this building. We want it to be totally sealed inside this building, totally controlled, and we even have lab suits that we're planning on wearing in there because we've epoxied the floors, and just an idea of a single picture, that's what the rooms will look like. It's like a lab in there. And so if we get this passed to do that, it's going to be inside and totally sealed and controlled. And I've got any of that I could email to anybody if they want to see it or for any things. But I think a big difference when you're talking about this ordinance, I think there's a huge difference between what's considered an outside grow and an inside grow. Right. I don't want lights out there. I don't want anything to bring the attention that this is a marijuana grow house, that we even have 20 plants in there. I want it to be totally quiet, but we do have the security measures in place. And I've worked with OSHA, and I've actually had Phil, the inspector, come out, and he did an inspection for me, and I've had the fire department out there. They've inspected for me. I'm trying to do everything 1,000% legal on this deal, but it's not going to be a single plant outside. We've got a water well, and we've got reverse osmosis systems for the clean water, and there won't be any chemicals whatsoever. It's going to be totally medicinal purposes, and that's what we're shooting for. Because that's the only reason I want to get into it, because I don't agree with people that are using drugs. I don't use drugs, but there are medicinal benefits in this that I would like to see, and I'd like to get into crossbreeding strains and just seeing what could happen. Sending some of these companies can do the lab testing. That's all. Just a couple of rooms. We might lose our tail on it. If we do, we lost it.
You also, am I correct, you also own the property south of your R1 property?
Yes,
It's ag?
Yes, he owns all that and it's ag. And this was ag. He moved it to residential R1. We just want to move it back to ag. So it's just going back to where it was 2 years ago, 3 years ago. But that's really all I've got. I hope that clarified a little bit.
Yes, thank you very much.
Thank you for your candor.
More information, whatever you guys ask.
So, when your finished product is finished,
Yes.
you have sprinkler system in there in case there's a fire?
Do not, it's only 2 rooms, but there's not, we're not using any high-pressure sodium lights or anything. All we're using is fluorescent, and the lights that I plan on purchasing, and I've got one at the house, are $1,145 a piece for one light that only does a 3 by 5 foot area. And it's total LEDs, partly because of the energy consumption, secondly because of the heat, because I've been in some of these grow rooms, because we've done tours of some grow rooms and stuff in different states and around Oklahoma, and it's just, it's totally inefficient the way that they run these things. To me, I can't see how anybody can make any money by paying $3,000 and $4,000 a month for electricity by not using the high pressure or the high powered LEDs as opposed to high pressure sodium lights that are burn hot. I just don't see why anybody would want to do that. We're talking LEDs. And we do have fire extinguishers in every room. Fire department came out.
So,
Got a lot of
so I'm
things set
clear,
up.
for the record, it'll be totally inside. Nothing will be planted outside.
Nothing outside.
There will be no lights on poles outside.
Nope.
And you will meet all of the city fire codes that we
Yes.
have, or state fire marshal.
As well as
You
the
have to for
OMMA
the
regulations, as well as every OMMA regulation too,
Say what?
as well as every Oklahoma Medical Marijuana Association.
You may not grow outside or plan to grow outside, but this would give you that ability to do that if you want.
And that's why, you know, when you were talking about definitions, they do have definitions through the Oklahoma Medical Marijuana Association that define outside grows and inside grows. They do have those.
One question for somebody, and I'm not the one to ask this, but the territory between those fairways, weren't those originally designed to be neighborhoods and houses? Isn't there plots for those?
Yes, I can answer that.
So that puts you,
On the other
that
side of
puts
the
that
fairways.
puts you pretty darn close in my book to potential residential houses right up in that, what I call the rough on that golf course.
Right.
That's plotted ground.
And I've been in contact, we do a lot of work with John Frawley, and I guess, are you still on the board of directors for the golf course out there? You used to be, didn't you? You're not anymore? Okay, I knew Bob at one time had something to do with that, with Nicholas and those guys. Yeah.
But when we platted it, we put it together, it was the Nicholases had 2 quarters, we had 1, and we did a comprehensive plan, it's PUD, we got covenants, we got all kinds of regulations there to make it work. It's just that we don't have a booming market.
And I'm on the, exactly, and I'm on the board of directors for the Pheasant Run Community Golf Association, east side, we've got east side and west side. And I'm on the board of directors for that also, I'm vice president of that, for the HOA. So we're making sure that we're following everything, and you see where the barn is located? That's actually on 5 acres right there. That to the west of that, you've got the fairway, and then to the west of the fairway, then it is set up for residential sections. Now, Nicholas is wanting to eventually at some time go further south and bring those around by the 18th hole. I don't know if you're aware of that. I live on the 12th hole over there, is where I live at. So it's pretty close, you know, within a half mile or a mile for me to go to do that. But yeah, it's totally inside. I don't want to infringe on anything, and you know,
Chris?
we've made sure that we matched everything before.
Just go to council
Yes.
irregardless of our yay or nay vote.
That's correct.
And don't, actually, the economics, we're finding that the outdoor grows are not working very well.
Just the idea of,
And
I'm not debating what their operation is
Right.
whatsoever. It's the next one I always.
And I see where you're coming from, but it's the same argument. We had an argument 8 years ago when we had the oil boom and we had guys going, we can't do any more industrial because we'll look like the south end of Hennessy. That was an argument that was brought up, or we can't, So I appreciate your position, but if the building essentially is going to look like it does now, that's what we're seeing industry-wide. I'm not in the marijuana industry, I'm in the real estate industry, and so what I'm seeing is some junky buildings being rehabilitated.
I agree.
And a lot of deferred maintenance being addressed.
And like you said, a lot of those little
And they're all
greenhouse
over.
looking things.
They're all over.
Strange.
And so,
Okay.
yeah.
Does everybody have all their questions answered?
Mr. Chairman, we have one person signed up talking about this item, Mr. Bob Berry.
Number two, I wish I had heard that spiel before I opened my big yap, but I don't need to.
Thank you, Bob. Okay, commissioners, I'm entertaining a motion.
I'll make a motion to recommend it. And I do appreciate your candor with this.
Second that.
I have a motion and a second to move this on to the council. All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Those opposed?
Aye.
I make that known that we have one nay.
Because it's kind of going to council anyway. Your statement there was I took it as to approve it.
Right.
Council will have a lot more flexibility to potentially adjust these boundaries.
We'll let them chew on it. They're higher up the food chain.
Yes.
We are.
Okay, we're moving on to item number, let me figure out which one we're on here. 2, 3. We're kind of,
3.2.
3.2.
3.2.
Okay, there we go. Chris, you want to read that, or?
I will, sir.
Cole? You want to read it, Chris? I'll let either one of you.
I can read it since you.
I will let you. We don't have much water left.
We'll be back in 10 minutes. This is going to be a challenge here.
Holler when you're done.
If you run out, I'll take over for you.
Okay. Item 3.2, zoning. Consider a rezoning for property located at Lot 2, Block 1, Zaloudek North Side Addition to the City of Enid, Garfield County, Oklahoma, according to the recorded plat thereof, and a part of the northwest quarter of Section 1, Township 22 North, Range 7 West of the Indian Meridian, Garfield County, Oklahoma, more particularly described as follows. Beginning at the southwest corner of Lot 2, Block 1, Zaloudek North Side Addition to Enid, Oklahoma, according to the recorded plat thereof, thence westerly south 78 degrees, 36 minutes, 33 seconds west along the north line of Mulberry Avenue is dedicated at Book 1302, page 308, a distance of 50 feet. Thence west, north 89 degrees, 51 minutes, 14 seconds west, continuing along the north line of Mulberry Avenue, a distance of 618.91 feet. Thence northwesterly along a curve to the right having a radius of 25 feet for an arc distance of 39.01 feet. Thence north 0 degrees, 26 minutes, 39 seconds west along the east line of Willow Run, dedicated at Book 1302, page 308, a distance of 758.34 feet. Thence east, south 89 degrees, 51 minutes, 14 seconds east, a distance of 275.65 feet to a point of beginning, 637.11 feet south of the northwest corner of Lot 1, Block 1, Zaloudek North Side Addition. Thence south 0 degrees, 26 minutes, 39 seconds east along the west line of Lot 1, Block 1, Zaloudek North Side Addition, a distance of 376.54 feet to the southwest corner of said Lot 1, Block 1, thence east, north 89 degrees, 40 minutes, 19 seconds east along the south line of Lot 1, Block 1, Zaloudek North Side Addition, a distance of 420.49 feet, thence south 0 degrees, 2 minutes, 46 seconds west along the west line of Lot 2, Block 1, Zaloudek North Side Addition, a distance of 400 feet to the point of beginning, and a part of the northeast quarter of Section 1, Township 22 North, Range 7 West of the Indian Meridian, Garfield County, Oklahoma, more particularly described as follows: beginning at the southwest corner of Lot 4, Block 2, Zaloudek North Side Addition to Enid, Oklahoma, according to the recorded plat thereof, thence west, south 89 degrees, 40 minutes, 19 seconds west, along the south line of the northeast quarter, a distance of 1,975 feet to the southwest corner of said northeast quarter, thence north, 0 degrees, 26 minutes, 39 seconds west, along the west line of said northeast quarter, a distance of 1,186.81 feet to a point of beginning, 1,465.19 feet south of the northwest corner of said northeast quarter, thence east, south 89 degrees, 51 minutes, 14 seconds east, parallel to the north line of said northeast quarter, a distance of 1,232 feet, 32.50 feet, then south 0 degrees, 26 minutes, 39 seconds east along the west line of Willow Run as dedicated at Book 1302, page 308, a distance of 55 feet, thence east, south 89 degrees, 51 minutes, 14 seconds east along the south line of Mulberry Avenue as dedicated at Book 1302, page 308, a distance of 703.17 feet, thence continuing easterly, south 78 degrees, 19 minutes, 1 second east along the south line of said Mulberry Avenue, a distance of 50 feet to the northwest corner of Lot 1, Block 2, Zaloudek North Side Addition, then south 0 degrees, 2 minutes, 46 seconds west along the west line of Block 2, Zaloudek North Side Addition, a distance of 1,105.40 feet to the point of beginning, and a tract of land situated in the northeast quarter of Section 1, Township 22 North, Range 7 west of the Indian Meridian in Garfield County, Oklahoma, beginning at a point on the west line of said northeast quarter, said point being 1,066.78 feet south of the northwest quarter of said northeast quarter, thence south 89 degrees, 51 minutes, 14 seconds east, parallel to the north line of the said northeast quarter, a distance of 1,232.50 feet, then south 0 degrees, 26 minutes, 39 seconds east, parallel to the west line of said northeast quarter, a distance of 398.41 feet, thence north 89 degrees, 51 minutes, 14 seconds west, parallel to the north line of the said northeast quarter, a distance of 1,232.50 feet to a point on the west line of said northeast quarter, thence north 0 degrees, 26 minutes, 39 seconds west along the west line, a distance of 398.41 feet to the point of beginning of the herein described tract of land located at 1802 North Van Buren, 1801 Willow Run, and property at Willow Run and Mulberry from C2 Planned Business Center District to C3 General Commercial District to Special Use District.
Very well. Good job.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Good job. Did. Chris?
Mr. Chairman, Planning Commissioners, the blue line outlines the property that was just described legally. It's classified as traditional neighborhood for our comprehensive plan. This gives you a more detailed picture. You see Autry Tech is right here. This would be Willow. Here is Van Buren. The Zaloudek boat operation is the C3 piece, and then you see the balance of it is C2. My next slide shows that we have water and sewer available to the property. It is recommended for approval. Are there any questions?
Motion approved.
Second.
Motion is second to approve. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? That motion carries unanimously. And I believe, now that I've lost track of where.
Just for point of information, Chairman, I asked Carolyn White Group, these certified surveys, there's no reason we can't incorporate these entire legal descriptions by reference, and she said she agrees, and I totally concur. There's no reason to read this out, and not being the official record. This is probably more accurate than our reading it, just in the context of efficiency and making certain it's correct. We have picked up on a couple of minor issues, but the surveyors, they're licensed by the state of Oklahoma. And I would recommend in the future if we consider adopting by reference those surveys and save this process. It's just a matter of efficiency.
As long as we don't violate the Open Meeting Act,
Well, I asked Carol, she said she had recommended it in the past and she didn't know why. So she can come in and talk to us.
I like the idea myself. I mean,
It's the only talent I have, though, David.
Okay, we voted for this item, and item number 4 is to adjourn. Do I have a motion?
Second.
Motion and a second to adjourn. All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Those opposed? We're adjourned.
Take your job.
Thank you, gentlemen.
We send these surveyors through